Good day. So,
Hello.
hello. We are gonna pick up straight into business because we have a more limited time today. So we have been talking about prosperity in the midst of our circumstances, maybe privileged or unprivileged, and how the long-lasting relationships do tend to be the key element that make these individuals take a part one side or the other. And obviously, like long-term relationships, the first ones that we have established are with our family, and then obviously with our extended group of people that we've been meeting through our lives in the school and other places, work, our relationships in the romantic, um, flatmates. But like all these people that start adding, and they give us this opportunity to start finding discomfort. Let's put it that way. They give us joy, but they also give us something to work with, because there's something that we react and we demand from other people that are close to us, is that they should be the version that fits us. Obviously, I say that with the concept of, if you think like that still, you're not be listening to any of our conversations. But it's not the right way to do things, okay? So I'm gonna pass it over to you, because that's really where I think we've been, and I know we have parallel conversations about what we drink and what we don't. And I have a friend here with me, and I'm gonna say hi. And then this is him.
Hello.
There you go. We normally play together, so now he's very kind of confused because I'm not playing. I'm here in the park and I'm not playing with him. So yeah, pass it on to you. What have you learned from your conversations that you can add to this journey?
Well, I don't know about like the specific conversations that you're referring to, but in general, conversations in general, especially when you're talking about, sharing a certain space with one another. And I feel like there is this certain idea around understanding and misunderstanding, right? So we all want to understand each other, and at the same time, there is more misunderstandings than anything when we are in connection with one another, right? And I feel like what happens often is that I just know the world that I live in. I only know about my side, and you know about your side. But unless we share what's going on in our world, even if you don't understand, is a necessity to actually connect with one another. And so what I have found is often we, from whatever, I don't know exactly, like I can't say what it is, because it could be our past experiences growing up as a child, it could be past experience with other relationships, it could be the relationship we have with our parents and friends and etc., and a certain way that we view how we feel about something and how we deal with them. Like, for example, I personally am someone who, if there is a problem, I have a problem, right? Either you feel like Eva knows, she felt that something's off, or you might not know something's off, but something's off on my side. I will have to share it. And what I found challenging is that we all have our own things that we're going through, right? Like in this particular situation that we're in right now, oh, we want to get on this call together. And obviously there is some other things going on in your life that we haven't had a chance to really talk about, right? And so, but this is not the time and space to do this, right? I mean, our particular space, yes, we can actually talk about this even in this space, but besides that, oftentimes we put things aside because this is not the space to talk about this. And then days, weeks, months go by and we never really talked about it. And I found it really challenging how to gauge my personal experience, something I want to get rid of in sense of like, I want to resolve it to cause no misunderstandings, right? To bring understanding. But then there is the other person that's going through something. How do you gauge this, right? And so, as I said, I'm someone that's going to just say it and let you know how I feel it. And that could cause an issue if the other person does the opposite, that maybe retreats more, that doesn't want to talk about it, that just gets into work mode and goes into another direction, right? And so my question goes actually back to you, like, how would you go about a situation like this?
What I heard, so just to summarize, there were like lots of important points, is that life is happening in attraction. And when you have a machine, and I'm going to try to use visual, then, you have one of those machines that is like rolling and bringing things up. You actually had to physically stop it if you wanted to pay attention, you had to stop it if you wanted to pay attention. And it may not be always possible because we are producing, right? So we are in a production of life and life is happening to us. We can't really like stop it, but we can make a note just to say, this is a point where the machine should have a stop. And I need to either like journaling about it, or I need to just mention it to you, or I need to make a note to myself that this is something I have to look from different perspectives so I can better understand it, because it has triggered a fault within the production. I think the other thing that you pointed is actually like the ability to say that, and to sometimes, like you say, you are reactive, and when we are very like certain of what we're feeling, we may be saying all the time, oh, this is happening, these are happening. And I think like it was in one of the talks that they say, sometimes when you feel you are hungry, you actually want some liquids and you had to drink. So it's a bit like the saying, when we feel something just because we feel it, so we just like really put it out there and tell other people or make other people feel it. So again, that's the practice of someone, is the practice of someone who doesn't know that something has happened and is starting to pay attention. We stop the machine, we don't stop the machine, but we make a note. There's also the work of the person that's constantly stopping the machine and telling other people, and things are not producing. And we had to tell this person, all right, what the goal in common is to produce something. So yeah, put your marks, and then, take it to yourself, give yourself time to understand it. So what you are presenting to the table is something that we can work from a space where there's a little bit more recognition and mapping. I think like the other thing that you have pointed, and is very true, is that because the production doesn't stop, and because we have identified with a level of satisfaction that we get through our jobs, or to get, in flow, if you want to say, or even sheltering, because like I think like overworking is a way of sheltering from life, is again another both is a tool, and it's also something that manifests on level of like, this is how I can handle it. And I do believe that we need to be conscious of all that in order to restart a prescript, because this is relationship will function exactly as you say. Someone is stopping the machine, someone is there, someone is like, oh, you went on holiday, maybe not doing anything, or like, and the saying, another metaphor, if we get water stuck for a very long time and we don't give it air, we don't give it thing, it will start smelling. So it's the same for these things that hiding them in either way, because you are avoiding the other person. even if you are avoiding the other person and that's your way of handling, eventually the other person most likely will feel so hurt that you won't be able to avoid the fact that that person is in pain. And then you have an activation of guilt. And then we are back into these kind of like fabrics of people lives that are in constant like kind of like disassociation, because we are not constructing something that may be dysfunctional, but at least we are aware of what is coming of our factories, you know?
Yeah, and I think what you're saying is easier when you come from the same factory, right? Like, what if there is two parts to, like if I had my factory, and like let's stay in this, metaphor that you're using, we have products that are being used from other factories, right? Meaning my flow of my factory is only going to work if the other factory is also going in that direction. So you have to make a choice at some point. Do I want to continue using this product in my line, or do I want to look for something that is able to move with this flow? Why I'm saying this is because when you mentioned that part of guilt, like let's say I use myself as an example, right? I'm in these situations, not necessarily often, but I find myself in such situations at times. And when I'm sharing my perspective, and what comes to the surface is that they're in their own stuff, I don't feel guilty, because I'm just talking about what's actually happened between, and we talked about this, I think, a few sessions before, is like there is the space between us. That's what I'm focusing on. I'm not focusing on, oh, my needs are not being met, or you
Yeah, but
didn't
that's
listen.
what I mean. That's what I mean. Like, this is what I say precisely. You and that factory that you have maybe have a more elevating technology. And then, this is the people that just started and they only have like a couple of co-workers and they're working from home and they're trying to build something. So I guess that's kind of like the distinction. Do you start using, no, because your factory is working on its own and you are like, you just need to agree with your own flow.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that you cannot consume, that you cannot exchange, that you cannot, because that's what we're talking about, having this communication. If I think one way of living life is to never talk to a stranger, always work in your job, stay with your family, along or with the same person for the rest of your life, doing the same routine. And I'm sure that that's a way of living that may work. We're just too chaotic, but I'm sure people that have mastery in these things, and it's what I think. Like, the reality is like when people have been asked, when they are passing away or they're close to pass away, if they were happier for being famous, for being really at work, or for being, doing all these things. It's like, it's just, they're not saying that, yeah, I just really enjoy my, long hours in the office. These are not the moments that we recall. So what is happening too is that maybe the machines that we have to construct our products are wrong, in the sense of like, what are we identify, what we've been built to wanting to construct, what tools have we been given. And I think what is important right now is to understand that we have something crucial, which is this. And it's the fact that someone else can watch you, which it make it more relevant. But we also can go back to it as a referrer of ourselves. So I think like the fact that now we can see practices happening online, conversations happening online, we are creating a frame that is allowing people to question. There's a wonderful program, I think it's recorded in America, but it's called Therapy. And it's about a process of therapy of couples that go for a year to this psychoanalysis. And then she is also telling or talking about herself and how she sees this practice that she's doing with these different couples to her supervisor, I imagine. So it's super interesting because when you see the line of the therapy with the couples, you realize that in that room, when the two people are there, they're not only two people. You never know who else is going to be in that room, because the mother may call and there's someone who was a perpetrator to then arrive, like, like something that happened in high school. So suddenly, like you have to, that's what she said, you have to be prepared for anything because you don't really know who they're coming with, and how is that justifying a way of behavior. And then obviously it's very easy to see, your patterns of attachment and how the style of attachment is trying to secure the other person to love you in the way that you wanted to be loved. But you actually can't really do that because you haven't really felt love before. And even if this person is loving you, you are unable to hear, and you're only like hearing the frustration. But at the same time, these couples can go and see. And when you see your behavior, then it's so much easier to make changes. So maybe the fact that we evolve into a more visualized sign, a more thing, as long as we develop a stop, we need to talk about this. And as you well say, not just to make it right or wrong, but just to bring it out. It doesn't matter if we don't understand each other. Like, we can't really, people fight for really stupid things. And they do it with people that they know for a long period of time for no good reason. And it's like, never talk to you again. And then we go and then we tell to people that are in war that they should reconciliate. We can't do that. Like, if you get upset with someone because they did something you didn't like, and that made you feel so X, Y, Z, mostly based on how you already felt about you, how can we expect to have like all these qualities and values we want for the world? And, so yeah, it's self-work, and it's accepting where are you working and what's your role, and try to rise by lifting others, I guess, always.
Yes, and I think something interesting you said, which I'm not so sure is really as simple as it sounds, just because my behaviors are being represented to me doesn't necessarily mean I agree to change them. I think that's like,
Yeah,
obviously that would be a great way, but sometimes, like for example, me sharing my opinion, I don't never want to change that, right? Even if maybe for some people it's too much. And I think
but an
there
opinion
is,
is not a behavior. Let's make it different. An
okay,
opinion is not a
all right,
behavior, because
okay, okay,
an
yeah.
opinion an opinion is something that belongs to you, that I could be reacted to. I may like it more or less, but it's not really like affecting me unless I have like a very sick mind that is remind me and
No,
doing
you're
these
right. I mean, what
horrible things.
I think I maybe misspoke it, because what I mean is that by me sharing my opinion, I feel like the behavior is more how you are responding to that sharing is maybe where I wanted to address instead of the opinion. I think maybe that's where I got it all wrong. But like,
And then this is what I said to you. It's like, because you feel and you are so certain, and some of us are far more certain because we have done the groundwork, and we can just say, hey, I expect this from you. And like, I mean, this takes me forever. Like, they never anyone think that you just kind of like, before that, I would say whatever I felt crossed my mind. I will, and actually this is something I needed to do for what it happens in my, love life. I needed to express so much. I was so not angry, frustrated, sad, depressed. Wow, you name it. And I knew that me putting that information to the person I most needed to listen, it wasn't going to take me anywhere. You know, me communicating to someone who didn't want to communicate with, it was only making me like, this is what we do to communicate. They're crazy, they're this, like, so I just basically practice automatic reading, and I will wake up every morning and write to my partner what I thought, and learn not to send it, because that was a difficult thing. I mean, this is less a lot of post-traumatic things that I am still experiencing, but I see the value of it, because what we have to say, even if we know about it, maybe even for our own good, it's not good to be shared. It has
Yes,
to be
but
left
I
and
think,
brew.
yeah, I agree with you. And there are certain aspects that we both are look like, just like if there are two people involved in a situation, right? And let's say it's us, right? And I'm sharing something with you, and you have maybe some challenges to voice what you're feeling about it. Maybe you don't know what to say about it. You maybe don't know exactly what to make of what I'm saying. Maybe you don't care. It doesn't matter, right? Your non-responsiveness is a response,
Yeah,
right? Even if
completely.
you are not capable of responding. And I think even if we are doing our journaling, even if I'm, figuring out the answers to myself, and obviously, yes, I agree that I cannot expect validation and a confirmation from other people. At the same time, and you can speak on that very, very strongly, is that when there's two people involved in a situation of a cause and effect, be it in a loving relationship or in a friendly relationship, doesn't actually matter. If there is something happening between two people and one side is willing to speak it out, right, like we are doing on a regular basis, but the other person is not responding, then that is causing more friction than not, even if nothing has been said, even if maybe they
No,
agree,
no,
maybe,
silence is violence. You know, and I'm just saying again, like this level of silence that is okay to have. There's a level of silence that you have to commit because it's been imposed to you. And there's a level of silence that has to be heard by you. Because I mean, today I sent you the poem. This poem that I wrote like long ago, last year probably at some point. And today, 1:55, I got an email that like my hearing of my divorce happened, and I have this poem for a very long time, and then I started working on it yesterday. I wasn't sure when my final date would be, but I actually literally I finished putting it all together, and then I got that email at 1:55 just telling me that the hearing is happening, and obviously there was no one there to hear it. But this is what I mean. This is a silent, and that I think that's been something very difficult for me to maneuver because um I left someone in a plane and never seen him again. We communicated by soon, and I pretty much have to, plead for these moments to happen. Even if we were in the construct of a marriage, we're still actually, I think he has to do something until the 6th of December to be officially divorced. So we are not fully divorced yet. It is unbearable. But it's like, yeah, the silence is an activation, and I have to hear myself because I'm a person who is speak. I need to be heard and validated, and yeah, I cannot demand it for another person, but I do provide it for myself. Yeah, and then I find people that are willing to see me, to hear me, and that's why I send it to you. I was like, you're not going to understand a word what I say, but this is important that you have it because I want you to be that person that observe my behavior, that can really see parts of the work that need to be done for people that are outspoken, and they must, to balance, use silence in a way they serve them and the other person and the conflict among them. So it's not like silence is okay. No, but to me, silence is the worst thing. To me, silence is what it gets to all these other emotions that are underneath, like fear, pride, narcissism, not knowing, not manifesting, not, you know what I mean? This is kind of like what we see in males and patriarchate. And I'm sure my hater will disagree, and I'm sure there are women that behave equally the same. But for what I relate, I just see that there's a level of it's okay to just remain silent. And I would say like women are very much they accomplish that, especially behind a man action, you know. So understand silence. Maybe that's the importance, you know. You have to silence yourself to hear with distinction. And that's why we maybe meditate, because even when you meditate, meditation is not about like nothing is happening. It's quite the opposite. It's like everything is happening, and I'm just kind of like, okay, yeah, that's fine. So then what we take from meditation is actually the same thing in life. It's like, all right, yeah, this was horrible, but I either stay on this or I let it pass, and then I move to the next thing, you know. And I think that's kind of like maybe what people have learned to do is, oh, this relationship doesn't work, I move to the next one. Oh, this product doesn't work, I do the other one. Oh, this, you know, there's a functionality of that which we have learned in the last years that 100 years ago people probably didn't have it. They had to stay with the same people, they had to work in the same jobs, they have to, but right now we just kind of like pass and pass. So actually the silence is accomplished to that passive without acknowledging. We first don't acknowledge ourselves, because we, you know, maybe this is the way people can move and be happy. I don't know. I
Yeah,
just
and I
speak.
think there is really, I mean, besides the silence
Maybe
piece, what you're really getting to, and what I think is necessary to address when you talk about this comparison of how people operate in past life versus this life, in sense of like, if I don't get what I want, I'll just move on, kind of thing, right? Be it relationships, work, whatever it is. Before, I mean, I still do this today, but for some people today is different. But before, most people would just stay stuck with it, and either just deal with it and just figure out other things while they're doing it and not be happy, or just figuring a way out, right? Like, just because you're staying in it is not necessarily the solution either. I just recommend, and I always say, like, talk it out first. If it really is not working with talking, then yes, then that is the solution. But it has to be talked out, like both sides speaking up, meaning there is no silence possible to get to a
what
solution.
about if you don't know
But
how
what
to speak? What about
well,
the other
that's another
person?
thing. But what I'm getting at is really the aspect of discomfort. Because we have gotten to a place these days where the moment we feel discomfort, we'll just go on and find something else. And I feel like we're not really learning or knowing how to cope with discomforting feelings. And that's like exactly what you said. Like, what if they don't know how to speak? That's a discomforting feeling, meaning you have to say, even if you are silent because you don't know what to say, you can still say, I don't know what to say, so that the other person knows, oh, you don't know what to say. Do you need some support here? Do you need some help? Can I help you figuring out what you want to say? Is it what I said? Do you agree with what I said? No, I don't agree. Okay, let's start there, right? Okay, you don't agree with what I said. So, and that's what I mean. It's like you have to become comfortable with the uncomfortable. You have to be able to say that you don't know. And that's, most people have a challenge of agreeing, or not agreeing, but by admitting that they don't know something. They feel the only time they're supposed to say something is when they know the answer. And I want people to know that you don't need to know the answer to acknowledge someone else's voice. You can just
And
say,
even your
thank you for
own,
sharing.
even your own, isn't it? Because that's a very crucial point. It's like, you know, like, yeah, it's better finished than perfect. I think this is another thing of like maybe the self-critic within us, which is, you know, like humans are the only people that can like criticize themselves. But also this idea that we have to know in order. I mean, you know by doing, don't you? Like we don't really learn. You can learn on the abstract. You can just really learn how to, you know, I could be amazing. I remember how to navigate a space rocket. And I'm sure that if they take me, even if I pass all the exams on the practical, I mean, on the theoretical, if I haven't done any practice, then I'm not going anywhere on that rocket. So in a way, it's like, it's the two parts of knowing. And this is kind of also the space that you open in colliding strength and vulnerability within two people, which is I don't know, but this is what I know. This is what I have, and then, I think again, I think it's important that we see their streams. And I'm just thinking of this couple where the woman who was like, he was like really anxious, and he was just like speaking her with like a machine gun, onto this guy, and he was just like quite patient, passive, and going into this connection completely. And he's like, all right, unless she start understanding where she operates from her anxiety and her feelings, she start calming and she start doing less instead of complaining, and then he just starts like become more vocal and start demonstrating and more, then the two won't ever work. And that's the truth. You won't be getting to different places taking always the same road. And that's as simple as it gets. You don't do things always the same way and expect to know differently. You will get to know something very well. And if that something is conflict, then people will know what's the conflict. And they even like, some of the couples were doing like, oh, this is our flow in the family, like it's a thing, and then we go low, and so they can even see the pattern themselves of where they get in. But then the changing of the behavior is what requested for us to understand where we start operating in this common space that we made, and who are we bringing with us, and how are we just, you and I together, identifying that we're going to take everyone out that doesn't need to be in and connect it between you and I. And as I say, not to just really go like, we have a moment where we separated, and then, there was like, you could feel like when we talk in times and things, there was processing time, wasn't it? We didn't get to really like get to speak immediately, or we need to have like, we didn't need it to go back and just say, oh, what happened. I think this is what is important, repairing from a new space, but first voicing and pointing what it is. And to do so, maybe at the beginning, is uncomfortable. Don't take my shoe. No, that's true. Sorry. No, you don't have your toys. This normally he have. That's my shoe. Leave it. Huh? Because it normally, yeah.
Hey.
Come on. He's just like, we'll play in a bit. We'll play in a bit. We'll play in a bit. Sit here with me. Sit. 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 Sit here with me. There you go. That's it. Sit here with me. See, like we are not understanding one another. This is a good demonstration.
It is. I was thinking it from the beginning. It's like he wants to give you, he wants something from you that you're not giving him.
Exactly.
This is what happens.
Exactly.
Right?
What's going on? And he's losing patience because he's not being up and down, and he's like, listen, either you provide me what I want, or I will start like biting anything of your things, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Such is life. Go off you go. Hello.
Yeah. He doesn't know what to pick up. Leave it. Okay, no. All right, well, this may be the end of our conversation. See? But yeah, like I just think like even if, well, this is a good example. Be playful, there may be someone that, like is started to be, not fair hair, and then he has to come with something and make us, react. So by being playful, maybe that's a good way. Yeah. Yeah. You wanna add something before we disappear?
I mean,
now
yes,
just
I feel like laughter, fun, ease. Nobody said life is supposed to be serious. And I was just saying yesterday to someone, like, who said life has to be serious? I mean, whoever came up with that. And I think just to bring up the people that you mentioned, like sometimes people show up, right, in conversations where they're not welcomed, and at the end of the day, I think it's okay to have our parents and siblings and whoever show up in us. I think it's okay for that. I think what's important is just to recognize that there are certain patterns that are old patterns and that they don't define us. And I think you mentioned identities, like, I don't want to be defined by that. Like, if something comes up that you disagree how I am behaving towards you, then I can make a clear adjustment to you. Doesn't mean I'm changing this as who I am. Doesn't mean I'm going to change this towards my spouse, towards my son. There, I might still remain the same. I think we have the capacity as human beings to have different behaviors towards different people. And I think this is really what we need to recognize, is that we are not fixed in any way. We are expansive, and like, we have the capacity to be so many different things, right?
I mean, attack now. I think like what I have to say to that is that, like one of the reasons why we are in the world is to pass information. This is why they give us like the capacity of procreate, okay? And passing information genetically or through your life. So there's not only one way of passing information. So it's not all about having kids and passing the same thing. We are here to evolve. That's what nature wants. That's why I say last week that, nature have a better system, because all right, like maybe it's not fair and maybe it's not like, ideal, but those that survive and stay longer as uh they're the strongest. They're the ones that have fought many people or many other like animals, and they won't. So therefore, they have a right to be there in a way, and like mate with all the females, and pass that genetic, the survival to them, and also what the clan can develop while this alpha positioning is there. I mean, but then what happened with humanity is the opposite. It's just we get the weakest people in the top, supported by other people that may not have this strength of presenting themselves to the facts and to a sense of fairness and all these are things that, let's not forget, all these ideas are also human ideas. So there's someone thinking that we should be better. There's this desire of like having a clean, CV, isn't it? Like that, we can see sometimes, like it's been happening through history in America first was, for the communists. Now, you see on Hollywood how like sexual abuses and things, and there's always like a glimpse of stuff that is happening as we progress. And I think we humans have to understand that it will take a long way for us to simultaneously agree, but there are points that I think we all want. And we all want to have something that add meaning to our life. And those that choose work will get work meaning. But when they start working, I don't think that, I don't know. And those who want to mix it up and have joy there, and in the way they learn, and in the way they physically feel and connect with other people, and in the way they parenting themselves, kids, and all the members of society, and socialize and co-work and co-elevate and all these things, then they will definitely enjoy more of the fruits of what already is there to be enjoyed. And that shouldn't be a journey of like sacrifice, as you say. It should be a journey of fun. Like life should be, enjoy of whatever is that you're experiencing. Because even like, and I have a pretty cool relationship, I think, now with my pain, you know, and things hurt, I've been sad, and I need to get it out. And if I cannot get it out speaking to the person I need to be speaking, I'm going to get it out to using my collage, my painting, my poetry, my conversations with you, my, showing up on my blurs. I need to bring it out, but I hope that the way I do it is also teaching that I don't really need to be in agreement or in conciliation with you for me to add meaning and closure and move myself forward without your help.
Yes, I would definitely sign this. And at the same time, it does feel like it feels so much better if someone says, I hear you.
Oh my God, like totally, like, acknowledgement. And that's why when you say, like, I don't want to be acknowledged, I don't want to be acknowledged. There's nothing wrong of being acknowledged. I do. I mean, the same way people want to get better pay and, like a nice present for Mother's Day or Father's Day. You know what I mean? We all want to be acknowledged. Like acknowledgement is given in many different ways, but let's also agree that it's given in one crucial way, which is giving that person a space to say what you have to say, either me believing, understanding, or agreeing. It's important, and I'm going to take the time to just hear you out in the best way I can. And if I reacted to it, if I something that you instead of thinking that is something that you say, I'm going to question myself is like, what buttons, what you say is touching within me.
Yeah,
You know?
no, I agree. And I think that's what I've been experiencing a few times lately, or not lately, but like there are what's interesting, what and not what I'm experiencing, but what it's interesting is that usually the things that we are, wish was be different are exactly the way we're doing things. And
Yeah.
so, like if I want someone, like if I'm complaining about someone not responding to me and ignoring me, that means I am also doing the same thing. If I am complaining that these people are not expressing themselves, trust me that I am expressing myself, right? So I feel like we're always going to call in what we are looking for things that we're actually doing. And so if we ever find ourselves in a situation where we're complaining about someone not doing something, we definitely need to take a closer look at the things that we are doing and figuring out if maybe I'm actually doing the same thing. And so if I want someone to be different, you have to make a difference. So if
Yeah. And it's,
you know what I mean?
yeah. And it's not only about being different, it's about a cut on the forest fire. You know what I mean?
You with your analogies. Let it hear
Yeah.
me. I want to hear it.
Yeah.
Tell
Yeah.
me.
So it's just like, there's a fire and you can see the fire, and the fire normally is the same argument that we tend to repeat over and over when we get stuck with a person. And the fire has like two things, oxygen, and it has also wood. So say that the oxygen is the people that want to speak. Saying the wood are the people that are not moving, like the trees. They're like, we're fucking not moving, we're staying here. Doesn't matter if we burn down, but I don't care. So the combustion keep happening. There's actually one of those elements have to, or a new element if you want to, but have to just take a breather. There has to be a gap where there's no oxygen and wood in contact. So actually the rest of the forest may save itself unless there's a low wind.
That's a new person coming in here.
Yeah. There's the same circumstances coming over and over, because at the end of the day, and that's kind of like what I say with meditation. It's about like this keep happening and happening. Do I let it pass? And I think there's a value to in that, because I recognize that this is something good that I learned from a partner, ex-partner. There's like sometimes you had to let it go, and I just never got. I think that was in my, like growing up system of letting go. You don't let go. It's like, you know, And it's actually like I understood the value of it, because you had to let go, and especially let go of those that let you go. And that's what I probably, like I associate it now, like, let go is not let go of a situation, not dwell over it, but then you don't let go the way he did let go of me. Is that let go going too far, you know and
Well,
yeah.
we go back into silence here. We're kind of closing the
Exactly.
cycle here.
Avoiding. If we're going
Yeah.
into avoiding, like what we are saying, is
Yep.
the key element is avoiding. The key element is, like, as I say, the trees cannot move. The oxygen cannot stop being an oxygen. But we need to learn where to put a space where both things are not in communication, and we can create some breather to actually confront, not avoid. Avoidance. Avoid avoidance.
Avoid avoidance. This is the last call. I mean, this was really great because, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think there is an actual solution to this. The only thing I'm seeing is you have, and what you're saying this entire time reaffirming is like you have to come to your own senses. You have to come in contact with yourself, be okay with the choices that you make, and be okay with the non-choices other people are making. And so
And process
yeah,
them. Process
exactly.
them in whichever is the way. Let's not forget that ways of process is throwing yourself into work, going to the gym and do a very hard workout, and don't socializing, drinking a lot, partying a lot. These are ways of coping.
Avoiding.
Coping with avoidance. But these are the ways that we've been told it's okay to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're back to the factories. The machines do what we want to build are wrong. Yeah. So now, all right, what we change?
Well, the one and only thing, and it's not necessarily change, I would say adapt, is ourselves. We have to adjust ourselves to any situation that we're coming in contact with, not staying stuck, because avoidance to me, staying stuck in who you are and who you want to be, when in fact it doesn't no longer serve you. You have to understand that you are actually avoiding change. You're trying to stay who you are that you don't even feel comfortable being. And so that change can be a good thing, or adaptation
Yeah.
for that.
But let them be. I just thinking, there's always going to be people like that. And as you were describing it, they're the people that normally criticize other people. They're the people that, like, kill the nice people in the world, like they sabotage, these are the spectators. These are the people that are not only not willing to do the work, but they are gonna the silence and the presence and the visualing of visualization of what is happening, and they're not doing, not participating, is very toxic. But we're not gonna avoid it. We're not gonna avoid oxygen and fire and trees to come together. That's unavoidable.
Space.
So I would just say,
Oh,
if you're not feeling discomfort and you feel that that's the way of living, then probably the response is more systematic on the society, and we need to look at all the aspects of what people are not inclined to do that. um but we can only speak to either people that are in front of us, no, yeah, in front, in eye contact, or a little bit behind. Sometimes if you are like really, really far, even if we are speaking, they may not hear us. you know? So we
yeah.
just, it's always like we can only impact who want to be open and willing. And I say, let's drop the word on those that don't want to be active. This is what I mean. There's not demand from there, because I think like this is kind of like what maybe Buddha is there, or Jesus or whatever. They're all this kind of passive of like, yeah, I'll let you be. And I think this is an element really important, because we need to let other people be who they want and how they are, and not telling them that they're not doing right, because exactly, you know what, they most likely will think about ourselves.
The same. Yep.
So it's like, do my thing, do your thing, my brother is this one. Would you like to buy? I'm not interested in yours. Or you know what I mean? Or I think I can help you to see how your line could be better. Because I actually, in my production line, I made so many notes at the beginning of where things weren't working. So actually now I seem to run a smoother way. And always that's the thing too. Be smooth in the way that you leave the cluttering that people will put in your mind, the emotions will bring, that rhetoric will awake every day, you know? Walk until you find the fire zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all I can say is awareness, and the willingness to get uncomfortable.
Yep. Or unawareness and the avoidance to get uncomfortable.
At the end, it's the same thing. You're doing the same thing, right?
It's like, we have to be non-dualistic. So those are the two extremes.
All right.
Like what
Do
I'm
that in
trying to
between.
say. Yeah, exactly. What I'm trying to say is like what you say. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to stop being an avoidant if that's your style of communication. But doing something a little bit off your extreme will help two opposed positions to come closer. And that's why it's communication. That is what keeps long-term relationships. That is what we are talking we should be more capable of doing. But it's the two extremes coming closer. Hola.
Definitely. Very, very good.
Yeah. All right, my lovely. I believe you have to go somewhere nice, I hope. And let's close it here. Until next week. Thank
See
you.
you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.